There's been a long-standing rivalry between Israel and Iran that dates all the way back to Iran's Islamic Revolution in 1979. Since then, Israel has made it clear it won't allow Iran to develop a nuclear weapon, viewing it as an existential threat. Iran, on the other hand, maintains that its nuclear program is entirely peaceful and only intended for civilian use. For Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, preventing Iran from going nuclear has been a defining mission throughout his political career. He's been vocal about this since the 1990s. Some may remember his infamous UN speech where he held up a cartoon bomb to warn the world about Iran's uranium enrichment. This issue isn't just political for Netanyahu. It's personal. It's part of his legacy. Analysts have noted that Israel's preparations for a strike have been in the works for over a decade. This included smuggling drones, activating operatives inside Iran, and gathering precise intelligence on Iranian military leaders, some of whom were assassinated in their homes. Israel has been wargaming a strike like this for years. But after the Hamas-led October 7th attacks in 2023, those plans took on a new urgency and started moving from theory to execution. The actual preparations have cost billions and were nearly launched on multiple occasions, only to be stopped at the last minute. So why did it finally happen this time? Let's break down the three key factors that pushed this operation forward, starting with the nuclear issue, which Israel has long pointed to as the main justification. Here's what Netanyahu said right after Israel launched its first strike on Iran. If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon very soon. It could be a year, maybe just a few months. This is a clear and present danger to Israel's survival. We have no choice but to act, and act now. But here's where it gets complicated. The Trump administration had actually been in negotiations with Iran about reviving the nuclear deal. In fact, the next round of talks was scheduled just 2 days after Israel's initial strikes. Many are now questioning why Israel didn't wait to see where that diplomacy would lead. Adding to that, a U.S. intelligence report from March concluded that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon. According to the assessment, Iran's supreme leader had not authorized a weapons program since suspending it in 2003. However, there were new developments. On June 12th, just 1 day before Israel's attack, the International Atomic Energy Agency reported that Iran wasn't complying with its international safeguards. A separate report from late May showed Iran had significantly increased its stockpile of highly enriched uranium. The agency called that a serious concern, even though it also stated there was no evidence of an active, undeclared nuclear weapons program. As one IAEA official put it, "We've found no clear indicators that Iran is currently manufacturing or producing a nuclear weapon." Still, there's a broader context here that matters, and it's often left out. As Al Jazeera's James Bays pointed out in a recent segment, every time we talk about Iran's nuclear ambitions, we need to remember that Israel does have nuclear weapons. It's widely known, but never officially acknowledged. Israel hasn't signed any of the international agreements or allowed IAEA inspections of its nuclear sites. Now let's talk about the second factor behind the timing: Iran's network of regional allies, what's often called the axis of resistance. This includes Hezbollah in Lebanon, a political and military group heavily supported by Iran. For years, Hezbollah was considered Iran's frontline defense against Israeli aggression. But that's changed. Since October 2023, Israel has been targeting Hezbollah intensely, reportedly even killing top commanders. The group has been significantly weakened and, according to many analysts, is now incapable of effectively retaliating for Iran. This collapse of Iran's proxy deterrent likely opened the door for Israel to act more freely. As one Israeli analyst put it, Hezbollah used to be the reason Israel couldn't risk striking Iran. But that threat has now been neutralized. The third factor? U.S. politics, specifically former President Donald Trump. While Israel has long wanted to take action, it also relies heavily on U.S. support, both militarily and diplomatically. No American president had ever greenlit such a strike. But something shifted under Trump. Just 1 day before Israel's attack, Trump publicly supported ongoing nuclear talks with Iran. "I want to deal with Iran. As long as I think it's still possible, I don't want any interference." But only days later, he seemed to endorse Israel's operation, claiming it was tied to a 60-day ultimatum he'd given Iran at the start of the year. "I gave Iran 60 days. They said no. On the 61st day, you saw what happened." He even posted a threat against Iran's supreme leader, suggesting they could take him out, just not yet. He followed that with a demand for Iran's unconditional surrender, which Iran rejected outright. So, how do we make sense of Trump's flip-flopping? One Israeli commentator summed it up. Honestly, I give up trying to interpret him. Even he doesn't seem to know what he'll do next. And yet, Trump still holds the keys. If the U.S. gets directly involved, this war could escalate fast. If not, it might stall. Most experts agree that the only military way to fully destroy Iran's nuclear infrastructure would require the U.S., which has the massive bunker-busting bombs needed to penetrate deep underground sites, like Fordo, a key enrichment facility buried under a mountain. For now, Trump seems to want to keep everyone guessing. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I won't. You'll see. But here's the thing. Israel's strikes went beyond nuclear targets. They assassinated high-ranking officials, hit military bases, and even bombed Iran's state-run TV station. That suggests something deeper may be going on, a potential push for regime change. Israel's defense minister recently stated that removing Iran's supreme leader is part of their wider campaign. Critics argue that Israel is using the nuclear threat as a pretext to wage a broader war aimed at collapsing Iran's government, hoping public unrest will follow. But that, many warn, is a dangerous miscalculation. Toppling regimes by force has never worked, from Afghanistan to Vietnam, from Gaza to Lebanon. The U.S. and Israel have tried it repeatedly. It's always ended in catastrophe. And right now, hundreds of civilians, mostly in Iran, some in Israel, have already died in this new wave of conflict. Lives are in limbo, and the fear is that this could get much worse, very fast.